You know when you find yourself doing something completely ridiculous because TikTok told you it might help you get pregnant?
Like buying 4 pineapples, but only eating the core.
I swear I just watched this fertility influencer say it would help with implantation.
Well, I didn't really care because you were just giving me all the best parts of the pineapple.
Do you know how many comments said this worked for me? First try.
Yeah, but they all said that, like keeping your feet warm.
And drinking tons of pomegranate juice.
I mean, you even made me stop smoking weed because you read it somewhere. And you know what? If I wasn't going to have weed, at least I had all that sweet, sweet pineapple juice.
Look, you will try anything when you're this desperate to get pregnant if there's a success story in the comments.
Hi, I'm former pothead Alex Hooper.
And I'm Lauren Tassi. Welcome back to Hopefully Kidding, where I'll try anything if someone in the YouTube comments swears it got them pregnant.
Quick recap. We had just gotten back from Japan. We'd been to a music festival. We were super ready to get pregnant. Captain's ready. Prepare to fly. Here we go. It's time for an IUI.
Let's start with how much it costs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably a good thing to start with because we said we would be very just vocal about that.
Yeah. So this IUI was $1,500. We were doing like a lighter dose of medication, just using letrozole, which is kind of like starter fertility meds. It's not injections. It's just pills. We figured we didn't need that much. Like we didn't need to throw all our ammo at it just because, you know, we're only doing this because of Alex's sperm. We got pregnant so easily on our own. Like, we don't even really need this. This isn't really for us, you know?
We were also going off our doctor's recommendation, which he had said that less meds would be fine, right?
Yeah, he said start with less meds. And, you know, if that doesn't work, we try it again, which, like, I didn't love to hear that. But, you know, that's what they tell you. Like, there's a process. It is a scientific process. And it makes sense to start with smaller doses.
If at first you don't succeed, IUI again.
Yeah, just pay more money for more fertility treatment. So this was also my first introduction to monitoring, fertility monitoring appointments. When you're taking fertility medication, they have to keep an eye on your follicles. That's where the eggs grow. That's how they can see if they're getting big enough, if they're going to be mature, make sure they are growing, make sure they're not growing too fast, make sure there's not one that's growing faster than the others. There's all sorts of reasons why they need to monitor you. But when you're taking this medication, that means you're going into the clinic every other day, every couple days. It becomes a big part of your life for that short window.
So they're basically just hiding in a tree, looking in through your window, trying to get a good glimpse of those follicles.
No, not at all.
They're not stalking you?
No. This is another vaginal ultrasound. This is when you start to get real comfortable with those vaginal ultrasounds.
Well, you know, we're not using condoms anymore, so you might as well put a condom on something.
Yeah. I have decided to live a very clean lifestyle at this point. I quit caffeine. I wasn't drinking. I was eating a very clean diet, just doing everything I could to make this work and make my body a place where a pregnancy would just love to hang out and occur. That's the kind of person I am. I'm controlling. I'm a perfectionist. I just do everything I can to ensure I get the outcome I want.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. You even stopped doing heroin.
Yeah. It was tough, but I managed.
Yeah, those withdrawals were really brutal.
Yeah. So I, of course, became obsessed with the numbers as one does, 18 millimeters versus 20 millimeters as the size of your follicles becomes an obsession, right? Oh my God, they have to grow. Grow, follicles, grow is what you're thinking as you're going to these appointments and spending all this money.
Do you want them to be 20? Is that the ideal number?
I think it's more like 24. It's also different for IUI versus IVF. And I am not a doctor, and neither are you. And this is not medical advice.
Okay, right.
But
for sure it's not.
I'm not an expert, okay?
Okay,
Short
gotcha.
answer. But things were looking good. We had 2 good follicles, and he was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. They gave me the stuff for the trigger shot, which is medication that basically makes you ovulate at a very specific time period. It's the same with IUI. It's the same with IVF. They give it to you and you take it exactly 36 hours before your procedure. So that way it's timed perfectly that the follicles will release the eggs.
Wow, science is amazing, isn't it?
It really is. The trigger shot is very stressful though, because like you don't want to miss that by a minute. So I remember and you always have to take it like in the middle of the night because your appointment's very early the next morning. So I'd like set an alarm and I have to get up at like 1 a.m. and just like, why would I even go to bed? Because I'd be stressing about missing this alarm. And if you mess up the trigger shot, the whole thing's, messed up. It's a lot to put on a person.
Yeah, and you'll be triggered if you miss your trigger.
Yeah, sure. So we do the procedure, an IUI, like if you missed in the last episode, it's artificial insemination, but instead of turkey baster, they actually go through your cervix into the top of your uterus where the egg should be. Not surgical, very easy, not painful at all. It's just like a long tube. He sticks it in, the sperm's at the bottom of it. They, make sure it's your sperm. You gotta validate it's on the label, right? Do you remember they show you?
Who else's would it be?
I don't know. They could mix it up in the back.
Oh my gosh. You could get a really, really hot, tall guy to get inside you, I guess.
It happened. I mean, it happens. Have you ever watched any of those like true crime documentaries about the fertility doctors in the 60s that used to just like impregnate all the women?
Yeah, our doctor probably has thousands of babies running all over Los Angeles. Plus, honestly, though, if you're going to mix up sperm, LA's probably the place to do it. Because for all we know, you could get like Ethan Hunt or Jake Gyllenhaal, something like that. Idris Elba. Who knows?
Yeah. Do you remember he asked if you wanted to do it, like push the button?
Push the button to do what?
To inject the sperm into me.
Oh, there's a button that you push?
Yeah, it's not like this kind of button. It's like at the bottom of the catheter, basically.
So like I'm going to launch the rocket?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think I wanted to do that, right?
No, you didn't at all. And I totally get why he asked. It's like get you involved in the process, but you said no, not at all. I think you were worried about messing it up.
I probably was. Even if it's as simple as pressing a button, the last thing I want to do, look, I get it. $1,500 is on the line. I'm not a gambling man. I'm going to let the professional who studied for this go ahead and do his job in this case.
Yeah. It was in these circumstances too, where I was really grateful that you could just like chit chat with him, even if it was about tennis or, comedy or whatever. It was like, at least I can just sit here and not be involved. It's how I feel in an Uber a lot of times with you. Like you can just carry on a conversation with this stranger and I just like want to pretend that I'm not here.
Yeah, I'm the best person to be in an Uber with. I will chat up the driver. I will listen to his mixtape. I will listen to his stories about how he's actually from Syria and he came here for a better life with his family. And this is what he's doing while he goes to dental school. I will indulge and you can just sit in the back and not give a fuck.
Yeah. So that's what it's like being in a medical office with Alex. He's chit-chatting away, and they're injecting sperm into you. So they do it, again, not painful, super easy. Then you lay there for 10 minutes and you're on your way. And then you have to wait 2 weeks to find out if it worked or not.
Ba, ba, ba. Here we go. The clock has begun.
The same is true with, any pregnancy, whether you're just trying at home by yourself, whether you're doing, fertility treatments, but the 2 week wait sucks. It's so hard.
How did you feel during that time?
Trying to do all the things I can to control the situation, dove into fertility TikTok. I started finding all the tips, the tricks, and like the superstitions that had worked for other people. And this is where I'm, buying all the pineapples and just eating the core. I'd heard about this warm sock thing, drinking all the pomegranate juice. Oh, you should exercise, but don't exercise too much. Just all this completely non-medical advice, just anecdotal stuff you hear from people.
I feel like every person you talk to has a different story about what worked for them. And at that time, you were so deep that you were willing to do anything. If they were like, get naked, drive a car backwards, streak through a football field during a game, you would have been like, okay, that's what I have to do. I will run through the 50-yard line and bam, suddenly I will be pregnant. It didn't matter. And I remember I was talking to friends that had gotten pregnant and they were like, oh my God, you got to do this. You got to do this. And I would come and be like, Lauren, have you heard about this? You're like, yes, I've already heard and I'm already doing it. Don't you worry. As I find you hanging upside down.
I was still working for myself. I was running my agency at the time, but things were slow. So I didn't really have a lot else to do other than worry about this and do all the crazy things the internet told me to do.
Let me ask you this real quick. Looking back, would you advise people to like watch all of those fertility talks and listen to the advice of these randos?
I think do it with a grain of salt. None of this was
Is that one of the things they told you to do was take a grain of salt?
Yeah, right. None of this is harmful, right? Eating pineapple core, drinking pomegranate juice, wearing socks. They're all just sort of like silly, superstitious stuff. And I wasn't obsessed with it in an unhealthy way. It just felt like it was something I could do versus waiting. I know you're not as type A of a person as I am when it comes to making things happen, but the waiting part sucks. And I'm not good at waiting, but I'm good at doing things. And those were things I could do. There was also like fertility yoga on YouTube and just all these things that would they actually matter? Does science say it's helpful? Probably not, but it was something for me to do and feel like I was making a difference.
I understand that. I mean, you want to take control in any way that you can, not leave it completely up to chance. So if there's something you can do, I mean, the only experience I have with this is when I had to get a job in college that required a drug test. And I remember just doing every single thing I read on the internet to get the THC out of my system. I was chugging pickle juice all day. I was just exercising as hard as I could. I was so afraid that I was going to come up like positive for THC that I did everything. And all they really had to do was take one clip of my hair and I would have been fucked. But anyway.
So we're getting through this 2-week wait. A lot of people, whether they're doing fertility treatment or just trying to get pregnant on their own, will start taking pregnancy tests a week after ovulation, much earlier than a lot of pregnancy tests say you can take them. They actually will start to show you a line. I didn't do that then. I'm still not taking a ton of pregnancy tests. It's like this moment of disappointment that I don't need every day. I don't need to start my day on that. I generally, since I've been pregnant once, I kind of know the feelings, and maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe one day I'll be super surprised and be like, well, I'm pregnant. Didn't think it. But I feel like I will know, and I will use a pregnancy test to confirm versus using an at-home pregnancy test to basically tell me what I already know and then just have to go through that 5-minute wait of like, is it going to be? And you get hopeful during those 5 minutes. And then, of course, no line.
Okay, so you don't think you're going to end up on that show? I didn't know I was pregnant.
I do not think so. I'm very in touch with my body, and there's no way.
Okay, gotcha. I would agree with that.
Could you end up on that show?
I didn't know I was pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be the guy that I just didn't pay any attention to my wife for 9 months. I didn't realize that she was going to all these appointments. I don't know.
Wow. I meant to, like, if you could get pregnant, do you think you would?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I would just, anything to get on another booking. Yes, so
get that IMDb credit.
Yeah. Do I need to audition for I didn't know I was pregnant? Or do you think that's just one of those shows that you get to go on as soon as you go number 3 in the toilet?
Yeah. Who books that?
Yeah. Good question. I'll find the casting director. You used to work in casting. You might know.
Okay. Let's get back to the story.
Please.
So we are at the end of our 2-week wait. When you do fertility treatment, you go into the office to get a blood test to confirm whether or not you're pregnant, because obviously the at-home tests are less reliable. So I go in that morning. I have just been dying to do this, like counting down the days. They draw my blood. And then there's more waiting, right? You got to then go home and live your life for the rest of the day. And they call you later in the day with the results. So I was just, I don't know how I even got through the day, but just sitting, waiting, and then we got the call.
And what happens when you get the call? Is it good news?
It is not good news.
Fuck.
Yeah. No, not pregnant. It didn't work. Am I devastated? I don't think I'm devastated. I don't think that's the right word. How did you feel?
I was very disappointed. I just assumed that it would work. Like, we have been through enough over the past 6 months of our lives, 8 months, whatever it had been at that point. We've had enough L's in a row that I'm thinking like, okay, universe, like, we're good people. You're going to turn it around right now. You're not going to deny us again. Here we go. Like, here's the gift. And so when it didn't happen, I think I was confused. I think I felt a little slighted maybe by the fertility clinic, by the universe. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I was definitely disappointed, but I was ready to go again. There's this thing about fertility and trying to get pregnant. It's a cycle, right? And it's also a cycle of emotion. That moment you get your period, that's the down, right? Or the moment you take the pregnancy test and it's negative and this is not happening right now. And that's emotionally the bottom of the cycle. That's the worst part. But then you get through it, and a couple days later, your period's over, you're on the up again. You're getting ready to ovulate, you get another chance. It's just a few days later and you're feeling better. and there's hope again. And then you're ovulating and you're having sex or you're getting treatment done. And this is it. The hope is there. This could be the chance. And then you have your 2-week wait and you're just sort of at that hope level, but trying to manage expectations. Then that's where the cycle comes back around, where you find out whether or not you're pregnant or not.
You have to maintain a positive attitude and hope, though. You can't just blindly, like, I can't just be shooting loads into you going, it's not going to work. Like, as soon as one doesn't work, you go, okay, well, then this next one. Because I've been, it's been longer since I haven't smoked weed. Lauren's been eating more pineapple core. She's been doing all of these other random tricks that she's found online. She's blending fish and then drinking their juices. I don't know what you're doing at that point, but I figure every time we don't get it, we're that much closer. Like, this is the same way I look at my career and rejection. Every no gets me that much closer to a yes. And that's the same thing with pregnancy. We have to be closer to that yes.
I think to be a person that wants to have children, you have to be ultimately hopeful. This is we're kind of really hitting on the theme of the podcast here.
I was going to say.
But if you have to believe the world is a good place and it's going to ultimately get better and not be worse for your children. Otherwise, you probably don't want to have children in the first place.
I don't know. One of the reasons I want to have kids is because when the apocalypse happens, I'm going to need some defense, Like, I don't know how to fight, so I want to train our kid to use a machete by the time they're like 3 so they can defend our last kiddie pool of water. That's just why I want to have kids personally. You might have your own reasons, but mine are protection during the apocalypse.
Right. Anyway, what I was saying, back to my point, but thank you for the tangent, is that if you're innately a negative person, I just, not that negative people can't have children, but I just don't think you're at this place where you're trying to conceive, where you're actively, getting fertility treatments and going through this process, because you have to believe in this betterness and this being better for your children.
Yeah, well, if you're doing it on purpose, right?
Right.
Like that. Yeah. If you're getting all these shots, you're going to a fertility clinic and you're saying, hey, what are the best ways that I can take advantage and up my chances of getting pregnant here, then yeah, you better fucking be hopeful that you're going to get it. You better have a positive outlook. So yeah, you got to keep it that way. So even when this first one didn't take, okay, here we go, round 2. It's like failing your driver's test when you're 16 because you fucked up the parallel parking. You're like, there's no fucking way that I'm not going to get it the second time. Let me go again right now.
Yeah, I think I definitely failed my driver's license test like twice.
Yeah, I think I failed it. I think I might have failed it twice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we very quickly move on to another IUI. Like, next cycle, doctor recommends that have no qualms, right? We didn't say, hey, we need to stop. There didn't seem to be a reason to slow down at this point.
No, definitely not. I think we were ready to go.
Yeah, we were excited about doing another one, but also realizing that, like, as much as we don't need fertility treatment or this isn't really for us, maybe we're wrong. Maybe something is going on here.
Like what? Like just that there's actually a problem with that, incompetent cervix of yours?
Well, no, that was determined. It was 100% determined my cervix was not incompetent. But, the AMH, the blocked tubes, all of these things that I'm starting to question, my numbers, my follicle count, like, maybe this isn't as easy as that first pregnancy was.
Yeah, or maybe my sperm was stoned as fuck.
Yeah, who knows? So for the second IUI, we do decide to use the stimulant medication. It's called Follistim. It's injections. This is the real stuff. This is the stuff that messes with your hormones, that, all of a sudden it's one of the medications involved in IVF, goes by different names, but we're playing in the big leagues now. It also significantly increases the cost. This IUI was $5,000 versus, I know the medication's really expensive.
So, but we're getting on a first class flight though, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying?
absolutely.
Like, we've upgraded from coach. Here we go. We are in the lay down seats.
Yeah.
Okay. Then pass them out the mimosas because this is going to be a very comfortable flight.
I'm also dealing with a lot of body image stuff around this time. Am I not getting pregnant because I'm not thin enough? Am I too overweight? The self-doubt is really creeping in. Is this medication going to work? Do I need a higher dose? Things that, like, in retrospect, I know are not true, still felt very real to me at that time. I just,
Did you talk to me about this? I don't remember you ever mentioning like anything about it.
no, not at all. I don't really talk to you about this part of my self-doubt very often.
I mean, which you can. Obviously, I think we're pretty open with each other. We've seen each other naked once or twice. So, yeah, but I get why you don't want to. Do you talk to anyone about it?
In terms of fertility stuff, not so much because it's pretty unique situation, thing. But I definitely talk about general body image stuff with some friends.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I mean, it's one of those things where you're not ever sure how much you really want to bring up and how much you want to open yourself to other people in that space. But I think it's important that we talk about it on here, that we at least mention it.
Yeah.
Just because we're being so open about everything else.
And I have a feeling that if it's this thing I think about all the time, it's something that other women think about a lot too when they're going through this.
I don't think any women ever think about their body ever. I don't think men do either. I think social media especially has given us all a great sense of worth, and it's really, everyone thinks about themselves in the highest honor all the time.
So we are gearing up for IUI number 2. We're running with the big dogs.
Ooh, I like that as this little guy snores away down here.
Yeah, we're running with the big dogs here using the stimulant medication. And I am also starting acupuncture.
Ooh, so you can't get enough things stuck in your body right now. You had a tube go up there. Now you're going to get all these little needles.
Yeah, give me more needles. Basically, that's what IVF is just all the needles in all the various ways. The good news about acupuncture is it was actually covered by insurance.
For the first time ever.
Something is covered by insurance.
You mean they didn't wake you up in the middle of an acupuncture appointment and say, I'm sorry, your insurance is canceled. Bye.
No, not at all. It was just a copay and they covered it. And I found a really great one. I didn't even search that hard. It was just the one I picked. She was super knowledgeable about traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. So it was not just acupuncture. It was vaginal steams and herbs and all sorts of stuff.
Please stop. You're going to have to explain what a vaginal steam is.
What do you think a vaginal steam is?
Well, I mean, Chinese laundry service for your coochie is the best thing I can think about it. I don't know.
I mean, you're not too far off. So in my experience, there's a wooden box that you sit in, like a little wooden stool, has a hole in the middle of it. And there's it's kind of like an electric tea kettle with no top is what is underneath it. And that's where she puts, I think mugwort was the main one. That might've been the only herb in this little pot, and it turns it on, and I sit there for 20 minutes without my pants on. And
so you're actually trying to get a wart in your pussy is what you're saying.
Sure.
A mugwort, but still a wart.
You can have the joke. Sure, I'll give it to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
And it's not unpleasant. Just like a little hot tub for your,
How much did that part cost?
That was covered by insurance.
Wow. Do they know that? Do they know that's what you're doing?
They probably did not know that.
Oh my God. Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah, my wife is having a steam kettle shoved into her pussy right now. So if you could please go ahead and take that off our bill, that'd be great. Thank you.
But the theory behind that is that you want to make the womb like a warm and inviting place for a pregnancy, a baby to grow.
I mean, yeah, and also for your husband, because who doesn't want it to get freshened up down there?
Yeah.
Maybe I should get one in my butthole.
Yeah, there was also it was like one time a month, maybe right around ovulation, she had this wooden box that she would put on my stomach while I was getting the acupuncture that had these herbs that she would light on fire that smelled so terrible and would just ugh. And I actually still have a little bit of a burn scar from one of the times that the box got too hot.
Let me ask you this. What smelled worse? That box of herbs or when I cleaned my DMT pipe in the microwave?
Oof. Probably the DMT. It just has that sticky, I don't know. There's just that very specific DMT smell that it would just stop it.
Yeah, you came home and you were like, did you smoke in the house? And I was like, no, I'm cleaning a pipe. And you were like, oh God, never do that again.
So at this time, we're in early July in 2023, and you are also getting allergy shots.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, after the cancer, I've had bad allergies my entire life. It all ties to my skin issues as well. So we figured, let's get to the root of this thing and find out what I'm actually allergic to. Maybe we can eliminate it from my diet, my environment, and then my skin will get better. So this was just a never-ending series of more medical appointments because we would just jump from like your fertility appointments to my allergy clinic appointments. And I had to get an allergy panel done on my back, which you don't have any allergies. So that's not something that ever afflicted you. An allergy panel, if you've never done it before, now I get to explain a medical thing. This is exciting. They tested 68 things on my back at the same time. They put all these needles in you and they wait to see what actually gets inflamed. And I walked in to that office, a human being. I walked out a tortoise. My whole back lit up. I had an Olympic ski mogul course on my back. I was Quasimodo walking out of there. I was allergic to 50 things. 50, which is so fucking ridiculous. And unfortunately, none of them were food related. They were all environment. I found out planet Earth is basically just trying to kill me. It's a miracle that I'm even alive here. So yeah, then I had to start getting allergy shots every single week. Ugh.
So we were just driving around LA, going to all these medical appointments. I also gotten a new client for my agency at the time, and Jerry Garcia Wellness is the brand, and it's a CBD brand, and they're working with Jerry Garcia's family. He was the original guitarist in the Grateful Dead. And so I was just throwing myself into this work and also listening to the Grateful Dead and Jerry nonstop. So it was just, I just like so much picture us driving around listening to this music, and at some point you were like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah, it was so much. Like, dude, I will go see live music anytime. I don't care what you put in front of me. Bluegrass, rap, a jam band, a fiddler playing a bucket. I don't give a fuck. But listening to it, I don't need to listen to jam band music. And even though Grateful Dead is kind of classic and, just kind of nice rock songs, I just got tired of it. But I get it. You had to get in the headspace to write all this copy for the CBD brand. It just became very excessive. I needed a lot more acid to suffer through this much Grateful Dead.
But ultimately this was not the way we had pictured our summer going.
I should say not.
Not it at all. I was supposed to be pregnant by now.
Yeah, this summer we're going to all these fertility appointments and doing all this. The summer before we were going to all these specialist appointments to find out what type of cancer I had. Either way, we are getting robbed of summertime.
Yeah, but this IUI is coming together pretty well. The extra medication has produced 4 good-sized follicles, so we've basically doubled our chances.
Juicy.
Our odds are much better. I think it was like 8% for the first IUI, and now we're looking at like a 16% chance of success, which still isn't great betting odds, but
I like those numbers though, because I always think that I'm going to be part of that small percentage that gets it. In the same way where I said I'm definitely going to be one of the 1 in 20 who dies from stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was like, I'm definitely going to be the 1 in 6 or whatever that gets pregnant from an IUI.
Yeah. We did have a little bit of worry at the time about quadruplets, right? Because 4 eggs, you could potentially have 4 babies. But that's usually not a concern when you're, my age. Our doctor wasn't worried about it, but it was definitely on my mind at the time.
At that point, I wasn't ready for 4 of anything. No thanks. Maybe 4 hamburgers from In-N-Out. I could have handled that, but I don't think I can handle 4 kids.
Yeah. So everything looked good. There was more monitoring appointments. It was just like everything is more the more medication you add in. But it was all looking good. They gave me my trigger shot and we did the second IUI.
Great. Second IUI. I mean, this one's got to work.
Yeah. So we got 2 more weeks of waiting, more pineapple cores, more warm socks. I even had additional things to worry about that my acupuncturist had given me. Hers was don't eat fish, even though everything on the internet says take omega-3s, eat your fish if you're trying to get pregnant. Don't wear crop tops or sandals. That was her other one.
What?
It's I don't wear crop tops, but it was summer in Los Angeles. Some of my shirts are cropped.
But why can't you wear sandals?
So I don't know.
How are you driving around listening to the Grateful Dead, but you're not allowed to wear sandals? Honestly, you should be wearing a poncho. Your hair should be dreaded. None of this is adding up.
I think it's a warmth thing because it's definitely the crop top was the keep your belly warm. It's the warm socks thing. Keep your feet warm. You just want to keep yourself warm. But in LA in the summer, it gets pretty hot here.
Yeah, it's in the 100 degrees every single day. That sucks.
Yeah. So we're waiting, trying to get those 2 weeks to go by. I'm doing all the things, and I'm just thinking, this time feels different. We've thrown so much more at it. It's got to work this time, right?
It's gotta work. My thoughts are only positive. I'm already thinking about all the ways my life is gonna change as a dad, how we're gonna be such good parents, how, look, we've had our time going to music festivals and all that. The next time we travel, like, we're gonna travel with a baby. This is gonna be great. I'm ready for this. I wanna be the guy with a baby screaming on a plane.
So it's time. I go in for my blood draw. And we have 4 follicles, right? Our odds are so much better this
4
time.
juicy follicles.
Yeah. 16% chance.
16% chance. Feels good. Looking good.
So I go home. I spend the day. I'm waiting for the phone call. Everything was looking so good. The phone rings.
And you will find out what we learned on the next episode of Hopefully Kidding. Bring, bring. That's my phone noise.
Okay.